Welcome into KC Sports tonight. Marleah Campbell alongside Neal Jones here at Kauffman Stadium. I just got distracted because I'm looking at a banner that says now batting Salvador Perez, which means you know that the game is close. Royals just got done with their last offseason practice, which means the next time we're going to see these guys is on opening day playing real baseball. Neal, feels like just yesterday, which was the last time we were here for playoff baseball. How excited are you for 2025 and the potential that this team has taking the field for opening day after a postseason run for the first time in 9 years?
Well, everybody today is talking, I don't care what team you're on, everybody's talking about the possibilities that the season might hold. 1 year ago, I don't think many of us believed that the Royals were going to challenge to make the playoffs, make the wild card, win a series, winning 2 games at Baltimore, and then scared New York a little bit, the Yankees. I don't think anybody could see that happening. Because of that, everybody's excited. I do think that this Royals team does have a very good opportunity if their pitching stays healthy and their superstars stay healthy. Bobby Witt Jr., I think they have a chance to be good.
We were hearing a lot the first couple of years of the Matt Quatraro era, really the first year. This is a rebuild, an evaluation year. Those words are done now. And I mean, now we were talking to the team today. We were hearing from Salvador Perez and Cole Rakins at the podium, and they were both saying, our expectation is to win the World Series. And you know they say that every year, but in years past it kind of felt disingenuous. This year I think they genuinely believe they can do it. Salvi said that this team is better than last year's team. Do you believe that?
If they stay healthy.
Yeah.
And if their starting pitchers stayed healthy last year largely, and they all came through. Even Brady Singer, who wasn't great the second half of the season, was really good the first half, and he ate up like 180 innings. I mean, he ate up a bunch of innings. The new guys came through. They finally fixed the back of the bullpen, and they became a really, really good pitching staff. I just think that the law of averages tell you, well, you're going to have someone get hurt. You're not going to have guys have career years like they did last year. It will probably come back to the mean, to the middle a little bit. But you hope that your position players can pick up the slack. If Vinny doesn't get hurt last year, he obviously broke that thumb. If he doesn't miss so much time, I think there's a pretty good chance they walk into the playoffs instead of having to struggle their way in. So if they can stay healthy, it's a long way of saying if they can stay healthy, I do think they have a chance to be a better team.
Yeah, backed in a bit last year, but again, you made the playoffs coming off of a 106-loss season. Neal, last year, so a year ago this time, we saw the team heavily invest in the offseason. I mean, it felt day after day we were getting massive contract deals, be it Seth Lugo or Bobby Witt Jr.'s big deal. What is your thoughts on kind of how the Royals navigated this offseason and how they set themselves up for 2025?
Well, today's press conference, it didn't have J.J. Piccolo, but it had the owner and the manager. And both of them, particularly the owner, was very forthright about saying, look, we went for a star.
Yeah.
We wanted to get a guy in the middle of the lineup that could hit home runs and drive in runs. That was really what kept them away from beating the Yankees last year. If they had one more hitter get hot, they might have won that series against the eventual American League champions. So they knew what they needed, and he said, we did it. We had the money. We were pitching. We were in there trying to get somebody, but we didn't get it done.
Yeah.
So we made the decision to go with what we could do. They got a closer on the back end, a really good closer, a guy that they think is going to give them something to close out games at the end of the games. That last year they counted on Urseg the whole way. Now they're going to have another good arm down there. But they also went ahead and made a trade, traded Brady Singer, and they go out and get a guy who they believe is going to be a huge table setter for at the top of the lineup, a guy that they believe Jonathan India,
yeah,
which gives them a chance to really be more effective on offense. How many times do you see the leadoff guy strike out or do nothing, and Bobby Witt Jr. comes to the plate with nobody up on base? Now they believe that he's going to help Bobby Witt because he's going to be on base. He's also going to take a lot of pitches, and he's going to make the opposing pitcher show his repertoire. He's what you expect from a leadoff guy. So I think they are very excited about what they did. It didn't make headlines in New York City, but I think that India is going to make a big difference here.
I thought it was funny listening to Sherman talk, and he said, we gave it the old college
you mean
try.
Mr. Sherman?
Yeah.
The owner, John Sherman?
We gave it the old college try, but still, this roster is stacked. And, you know, we had 2 scares, Neal, in spring training, which was one, Bobby Witt Jr. getting hit by that pitch. Fortunately, he's fine. We saw him out here today. The second one's lingering a little bit, which is Vinny Pasquantino leaving early with a hamstring injury. We got a little bit of news today in the sense of he was moving today. I thought he looked fine. Manager Matt Cotraro said they're going to see how he does tomorrow morning. It's not just how he feels after practice. It's how do you feel 12 hours after practice after he got moving a little bit. But, Neal, how do you feel about Vinny's chances of playing and maybe just on a broader spectrum, his value added to this team? And we saw last year when he left with a thumb injury what we were missing.
I mean, the guy had over 90 RBIs on a team that did not score a lot of runs at times. I mean, if he doesn't get hurt, like, I really think that they might have really contended for the division championship with the Cleveland Indians and the Guardians. And the Guardians are good. They open against the Guardians here tomorrow, and I think that's going to be an interesting lineup, a matchup this year. The Guardians dominated, it seemed at times last year against the Royals. Let's hope that changes. Let's hope the Royals can show themselves capable of challenging them. But Vinny is a big-time hitter on this team. You put him on the Dodgers, he's batting 7th or 6th. But you put him on this team, and he's the guy that comes up with 2 guys on base, and he's got a chance to knock him in. And obviously, one of the great guys, one of the best personalities. All of his teammates love him. He is worth more to his ball club than just what he does stat-wise.
One of my favorite sound bites, that's for sure. A couple other things I think that surprised me or maybe interested me from today's press conference today. I don't know if it was Sherman or if it was Cotraro talking about the bullpen and how much better he thinks. I think it was Cotraro that it's gotten this year. How big of an impact do you think that'll have on this upcoming season, knowing that? And how much of that do you think is podium speak versus do you actually think there's value added there?
This manager does not do that.
Yeah.
This manager is really quiet. He tells you what he thinks. He never gets too high. He never gets too low. He never makes excuses. If they have 3 errors, he goes, we had 3 errors. We had a throwing error and this, and that cost us the game. He doesn't make it into some huge, massive deal, but he tells it like it is. If he says, I believe that we are going to be much better out of the gate or have an opportunity to be much better out of the gate in the bullpen than when last year, I think he means it. And I agree with him. If they can keep their guys healthy, I think they're going to be good.
14th opening day for Salvador Perez, which brings me to Neal. Opening day memories. How many of these have you covered by now? Do you know? Too many.
Well, since 1993, although... To be fair, we were often on the road covering Missouri, Kansas State, or Kansas.
That is true.
You know, we were in New York covering K-State 3 years ago. So I missed a lot of these. I was here in 1988. Oklahoma and Kansas played in the national championship game at like 8 p.m. at Campbell Arena. And the Yankees visited the Royals opening day, and my boss, I worked for a guy who was a Yankees fan, so we split off. We were covering the Final Four. We came over here and had credentials, and I rooted against the Yankees. It was fun. So there have been a lot of great memories, a lot of great games, but I think what you remember more, this is a fun day. It's like Christmas for little kids and for baseball fans. But, Marleah, what you want is a good season, because then every day is like opening day. All summer long, if your team's playing well, 14 and especially 2015, the whole season was like that. It had that same buzz.
Yeah, this June and July, really, it goes that early. It was kind of the first time since that 2015 year where we had meaningful baseball, where you were looking at the percentages and, okay, what's the magic number? How many games do they need to get? Who do they have on the schedule? While in years past, it was kind of an afternote at that point in the season. So a good reminder of how fun it is to have good baseball in Kansas City, and we're back to that point. You know, when I'm thinking about opening day, I obviously have a smaller sample size, but I remember being here in 2020 when we were sitting in that little section, I don't know if you can see in the camera behind me, behind home plate, 25 people in the entire stadium. It was just media. This was during the COVID year. And they had a couple of cardboard cutout fans. They had Slugger walking around with cardboard concessions like popcorn and stuff. Really bizarre and just kind of one of those. And then you were watching a real live baseball game that counts.
Were they selling beer?
Paper beer, yeah. Just paper beer, like little paper cutouts on a little, one of those little things that people walk around. Anyway, bizarre. So tomorrow we're going to be sold out. Should be a lot of fun. And Neal, this city is more fun when Royals baseball is good. It's fun to see people last year kind of wearing more Royals gear throughout the town and having pride in this team again after what really became, I don't know, not a point of disappointment, but when you don't make it to playoffs for 9 years following a back-to-back World Series run, it gets disheartening.
1 year ago, most of the city seemed to hate the owner, John Sherman. because of the botched stadium issue. If they didn't hate him, it was like, what's he doing? I don't understand. Now, he spent money. They re-signed Bobby Witt Jr. He brought it up today. Bobby Witt Jr. would just now be entering his arbitration year, which means you got to figure out if you're going to try to keep him and how much you're going to pay. Instead, he's under contract long term. You don't have to worry about that. I think that people understand this guy cares about baseball. He will spend money to win, to get players and win games. And if they fix the stadium issue, if they can work that out between now and the end of June, which is what he wants to do, I think people are going to be more and more excited. Certainly, winning cures all ills, although you wouldn't know about that at Wyoming.
Going to sidestep that and go straight into another point that you bring up, which is the stadium issue brought up today. Bit of news in Sherman saying that they're hoping to have a site chosen by middle of the calendar, which he defined as June or July. So interesting to see how that goes after kind of the saga that's been going on for a long, long time. But Neal, okay, final thoughts, upcoming season. Game tomorrow, it's one of 162, but how excited are you for the season to kick off? And realistically, where is your kind of meter on where this team stacks up to, where it has 10 years ago and where it has 1 year ago?
We've had some pretty decent teams, it looked like on paper, going into seasons that broke late and were terrible. And so you're like, okay, they lost. They only won one game the first week. Okay, now through 10 games, they're only 2-8. Okay, now through 15 games, they're 3-2. We've seen that when you're like the season was over before it even started. That's what you don't want. You don't want a terrible 500 for the first month is okay. Having an even record, because then you're still in the race. What you don't want are key injuries and just a bad situation where the pitchers aren't pitching very well, and when they do pitch well, the hitters don't hit. You just don't want that. If we can avoid that and get through the first month at 500 and nobody hurt, I'm gold. I feel pretty good.
Matt Quatraro said today, this team that we're starting against, a divisional opponent who was the team to beat in the division, why not get a jump on them right now? Yeah, it's game one of 162, but why not start building that hole early? You only get so many chances where you can kind of really separate yourself in the division. So opportunity tomorrow at opening day. If you missed it today, this is actually workout day at the K, which is becoming kind of a fun tradition here in Kansas City over the decades. But lots of kids out here, lots of fans. You'll hear from them coming up at 6 o'clock. Plus, Salvador Perez and second-year home opener starter Cole Reagans on the impact and the nerves that they still have after all these years on opening day. So that's coming up at 6. But for now, for Neal Jones, Marleah Campbell.
And Paul Rudd.
And
was
fake
here.
Paul Rudd, who Neal thought he saw.
Well, look like him.
Have a great day, everybody. Thanks for watching.